The latest Trinity P3 report reveals a slight uptick in pitch satisfaction among Australian marketers with a score of 3.22 out of 5, while highlighting the ongoing issues like long payment terms and insufficient feedback from major corporate players. Let's head to Sydney now. We're joined by Darren Woolley from Trinity P3. Great to see you, good sir. Talk to us about, I guess, the findings from the 2026 Trinity P3 State of the Pitch report. Let's start there.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Look, and the State of the Pitch report came from the fact that coming out of COVID, while there'd always been grumbles about the way tenders were run to select agencies, it had got to the stage where the agencies themselves were calling for ditching the pitch, as they would say. And in fact, so in 2023, we started this report in Australia. It's now gone to the US and Canada. What we're finding is, while things have marginally improved in some areas, there are some real core issues around payment terms, lack of feedback, lack of communication, and also the use of technology to actually get in the way of being able to assess the relationship and the way agencies and marketers would work together. And that's not a broad spectrum across all marketers, but there's a very solid 30% of marketers that are running pitches that the agencies perceive as being suffering from these inequities.
How's it changed in terms of satisfaction score? How did it change from last year to this year?
Well, yeah, if I was a teacher giving a grade, I'd say they went from a D+ to a C-. So it was relatively small.
You're a harsh teacher there, Darren.
Well, I'm just going by the numbers, Aaron. I can only use the data and interpret it as it appears in front of me. But here's the interesting thing, is that before, procurement teams running pitches got the lowest score and in a distant third. They've actually climbed up now, and now marketer-run pitches are actually now lagging behind them. And I think there's a reason for that. We're seeing more and more tenders being run by marketers without procurement professionals or consultants. And agencies are starting to react to what is often seen as poor behaviour. You know, in one anecdote was an agency had participated in the tender, asked for a result, got completely ghosted, and 2 to 3 months later read about it in the trade media. So, you know, this is the sort of behaviour that's going on, which, you know, while it's not, in quotes, illegal, it's certainly poor behaviour and poor manners.
Is it a sign that the kind of Mad Men era still carries on for a lot of people in the industry?
Look, I think when we have this mythology about pitching, which has been reinforced by the Mad Men era, but you've got to remember that was the 90s, 60s and 70s. The world has moved on. In the 21st century, the complexity, the issues, you know, that you need to consider when you're actually running a tender have become a multitude. And instead of changing the process to meet those needs, they've just piled them on top of the old-fashioned pitch process. The core pitch, nothing's really changed in 50 years. And yet the world, technology, marketing and business has changed dramatically. So I think, you know, this is a wake-up call for marketers that when they come to select their agencies, don't do what you've always done. This is time to rethink the pitch, not ditch the pitch. And come up with
we also have boutique agencies as well. We have so much that has changed. The media has changed, but also our attention spans have changed there as well. And I mean, I think about when you put out a job ad and you receive hundreds of replies and you just go, I do not have time to even look at 5 of these. Talk to us about, I guess, some of the common complaints that were highlighted in relation to the pitch process.
Okay, so the first one is that a lack of clear definition of what's required. You know, that often feels like the marketers, the brands are going to market and casting a very wide net. Now, what that means is that if you have invite 8 agencies to pitch, you're going to have to tell 7 of them they lost. And then that leads to the second one, which is a lack of feedback, a lack of finishing off and telling those that are unsuccessful how they could be better next time, because that was a big complaint from agencies. You know, if you've gone to the trouble and invested
no feedback.
time, yeah, And you get an email that says, sorry, you're unsuccessful this time, good luck for the future, it leaves a sort of bitter taste in the mouth because there was nothing that you could actually learn from that at all. Another one was payment terms. We're seeing very large corporations, particularly overseas, are now demanding 90 and 120 days. This is indicative of a report that came out last year of a brand in the United Kingdom that went to market with a 365-day payment term. So work this year, we'll pay you next year, which could help with tax, I guess, but doesn't really help with cash flow. There's a multitude of these things. Now, let me be very clear. This is not uniform across the market. There are a lot. 70% of pitches are actually quite acceptable according to the agencies, but it's the 30% that continue to get it wrong. And one of the things we did notice is that they're inclined to be in high energy service areas like financial services, telcos and the like, where I'm wondering if part of the problem is that marketers are going into this pitch process thinking that they can manage it themselves when they've already got a full-time job, and then finding that they're just overwhelmed with the amount of time. In fact, anecdotally, I had one marketer say to me, oh yeah, it's amazing how needy agencies are. I ran a pitch and they wanted to talk to me all the time and ask me questions all the time. And I said, that's part of working out what the relationship's going to be. Oh, well, I didn't think it would take that much time, they said. And I think that's a problem for marketers. They've already got a full-time job. Taking on a pitch is another job, at least for 3 or 4 months.
All right. I think you've said it very well there indeed. And today we are remembering Ted Turner, the visionary media pioneer and the philanthropist. We all know him. He founded CNN, transformed television news, cable news. He has passed away at the age of 87, surrounded by family. Darren woke up to this news today and actually felt quite moved. Ted Turner is someone who very much was the inspiration for me, not to show me how to start TICKER. I've never met him. He'd probably have no idea that on the other side of the world there was someone watching so closely, but he taught me that it wasn't the craziest thing in the world to actually give it a go. How are you remembering Ted Turner today?
Well, I remember the fact that at the time there was all this, the competitors, all the other media were going, 24-hour news, what are we going to fill the time up with? It was almost unthinkable that you could have a TV station dedicated to 24 hours of news. And yet today, it almost feels like, how do we ever not have this? He was a visionary. He was very blunt. He was very straightforward. He was a man who, from all accounts, you would never walk away from a conversation not knowing what he thought. And there was a long-term rivalry and quite almost bordering on animosity, I think, between Rupert Murdoch and Ted Turner that went on for a long time. But I think in the end, he actually proved that his vision of what news would look like in the 21st century, he had that way back in the 80s. And I think that just shows the caliber of the man and his thinking that he was able to make that happen.
Yes, a man who inherited a billboard company, sold it, of course, and then decided Georgia, Atlanta was a fantastic place to be, to start a news network that really took on the world. And the entrepreneurial nature of it all, the near bust nature of it all. His news director wrote a great book called Ted and I Against the World. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it if you love media, because it just talks about this wasn't easy. This wasn't someone with buckets of cash pouring it in. This was every minute on air could be our last, and everyone at the network knew it. What do you think his legacy will be aside from CNN?
Look, I think it's really that ability to, it's like the Apple ad, here's to the crazy ones, because often the crazy ones are the ones that actually have the self-belief to pull it off. And I think that's what he did. His legacy will be the ability that when you have that vision and have the passion to do it, you can make things happen. And I know in this day and age, it feels like, the billionaires are controlling the world, but I think there's still the opportunity for those visionaries out there to actually change things and create things that the world's not sure it's ready for. And that's one of the lessons of marketing is don't ask your customer what they want. As Henry Ford said, they'll just tell you faster horses. It's the same in every aspect of life. If you have a vision for a better world, and you're passionate about it, just do it because Ted did.
Beautifully put. Well, Ted Turner died today. He was aged 87, 1938. He was born in November of 1938, and he passed away peacefully at his home, and we pay tribute to him and, of course, everything he has achieved for our wonderful industry. Darren Woolley, appreciate your insights and your time on Ticker today. Thank you.
Thanks, Ahron.